Banks are hiding something from us. They're closing. All right, folks, let's dive into this topic. It's buzzing around lately. There's a lot of bank closures happening out there. It's hitting hard nationwide with Wells Fargo actually leading the charge, closing 221 banks. Citibank is in there, PNC Bank, Fifth Third, Truist. There's so many banks right now going through these closures. Now, why is it happening? And what does it mean for you? We're going to dive into this deeper here. Sure, banks are pointing the finger right now that there is a lot of rise to the online banking systems out there and that the foot traffic in the doors has taken a nosedive. Sure, that makes a little bit of sense, but there's way more to it behind the scenes. Many of these banks are just not raking in the profits like they used to, okay? It's not about just fewer people coming through the doors. There's a lot more going on. And hey, even President Biden makes sure that he would weigh in, assuring folks that their deposits are safe, even despite the recent bank collapses. The FDIC's got our backs, stepping in to make sure that nobody loses out on any of their money. There's no taxpayer funds involved. It's kind of a relief, right? Maybe, right? I say maybe because if you get stuck in one of these bank collapses where the whole bank gets shut down, everything is frozen, and your entire life is frozen if you have all of your money in there for however long it takes, right? And you're going to have to go through a big process to move all of your money someplace else and all of your direct deposits someplace else. Is messy. It's very messy. It's not just simple that we got your back, okay? But here's the thing. There's a lot happening behind the scenes that the news just isn't telling us about. Branches are vanishing left and right, and we need to stay on the loop to understand what's really going on. So buckle up, guys, because we're going to dive into this. It's going to be a wild ride. I'm Edward Bilder. Thanks so much for tuning in for another video today. And don't forget to check back daily because I do have some here today, gone tomorrow sort of stuff like grant updates and business funding updates. You never want to miss those things. If you never want to miss anything, just join the channel, become a subscriber. It's free to do. Or you can go up to the description right now and join my email list, also free to do. And I send out updates there regularly. Remember, I also keep my phone number found in the description. You could text coach to that phone number if you want to be hooked up with a free consultation. We could talk about building business credit, scaling your startup, scaling your current business, or I love to talk about real estate as well. I have a beautiful course found in the description. It's the gateway strategy to get you into real estate using other people's money and cash flowing within 30 days. You can check that out. It's on a mega sale right now, found in the description. You don't want to miss that one out. And while you're up there, grab your free stocks from places like Webull. Check them out in the description. Guys, let's get into the video. I want to break this down first by talking about what the Wall Street Journal is saying because they are not beating around the bush. They're coming straight at us with data, okay? They're straight up saying that banks are ditching branches and maybe it's time that you might do the same, okay? The trend has been creeping up for a while now, and just take a look at these numbers. Wells Fargo closes 258 branches, JP Morgan shuts 165, Bank of America did nearly 100, a fifth of US banks gone, okay? Branches over the past decade. They're down to a slim 78,000 from a hefty 100,000 in 2009. So when is the right moment for yourselves to leap into this trend and move over to online banking? Do you wait till your local branch just kicks the bucket on you, or do you jump over to the digital bandwagon like right away, right? Here's what the Wall Street Journal has to say about this, because the old way of opening up a bank account is like far in the past, okay? You used to have to go right into those brick and mortars and you have to bring all of your data with you. Driver's license, social security card, you know, all of that stuff. Sometimes 2 forms of mail that has a utility bill with your address on it. All kinds of paperwork that you used to have to do. Online banking is taking all of that and just moving it digitally, right? With your social security number, your date of birth, your addresses, your debit cards, all your account numbers are getting started just through the apps. You can literally just take pictures of these things and it gets uploaded into an automated system and the algorithm handles the rest, right? You could deposit checks, you could transfer cash, you could snag a CD. There is so much you could do just from sitting on your couch, right? So you don't necessarily have to walk into these bank branches any longer. It's really becoming a thing of the past. But here's the kicker. Online banks do come with these perks. They have lower overheads, which means there's no pesky monthly fees for these checking accounts, and it's really juicier because you get the savings sometimes in the interest rates, right? Sometimes they offer just a little bit better interest rate for you, and you know, nationwide, when those banks are paying for those brick and mortars, it's coming out of our pockets, right? So while the national average savings rate hovers at a mere 0.46, Online banks are serving up rates around 4 and 5% right now. Okay, so it's crazy what they're actually offering. Credit unions have a solid option too, but soon enough, they might face the same fate as a lot of these traditional banks. They're still in the game because they offer other perks because of the fact that they're credit unions. But who knows? They could merge over to become online banks as well because there are online bank credit unions, right? Look at Navy Federal. You could do that stuff all online right now, okay? So it's about the bottom line, guys. If folks are no longer walking through the doors, those branches are going to just have to close sooner or later. Now, here's the thing. With all of these branches biting the dust, we are actually losing out on some pretty serious customer service relationships here, okay? Nowadays, when you ring up these online banks, you might be speaking to somebody from a different country who doesn't necessarily understand the full banking system here in the United States, okay? It's a scary thing, all right? Now, I'm not throwing any shade on this process. I am also a part of some of these online banks. But they're for a reason. I only open banks for a reason, okay? But let's be real here. Sometimes those online banks, they just don't understand what you're asking them. And it gets very frustrating, especially when you're used to being able to stroll into a bank and talk to a person one-on-one, ask the questions you need. You get to have your debit card open, your bank account open, everything all in one spot, and walk out the same day. And you get to build those very valuable relationships with the bankers, okay? It's super important to build those relationships because when you need funds, guess who you could go talk to, right? Especially if you're out there in the business world and you're trying to build business credit and you go and talk to these branch bankers, man, they are your friend when you have a relationship because you could snag some serious dough. They put in good words for you through the underwriting process. It's all whatever they write on the paper, whatever their recommendation is what you need, okay? So drop your thoughts here below because I'm curious to hear what you personally think about all of this. I mean, I am rolling with the times. I do have some online banks, but let me be real with you guys. I don't really keep money in the banks, okay? I just keep enough to manage my personal bills, okay, and some of the bills within the business expenses. But that's it. That's really it. All right. If I get $1, my dollar goes to work somewhere to earn me $5, like a minimum. Okay. So I never keep money in the banks. They don't really earn. Keeping your money sitting in the banks doesn't earn you anything. Okay. So it just sits there. It's stale money and it does nothing. All right. So whether you like this or not, changes are coming. So the question is, how long will your banks in your neighborhood actually stick around? I mean, let's face it. Let's be realistic. We are hitting up those bank branches fewer and fewer nowadays, okay? It is not common that we go into the bank branches, especially when we're used to a world where like everything right now is at our fingertips. It's all at our fingers, right? And we don't necessarily want to go into a bank right now, okay? So these banks are taking notice. Remember, Wells Fargo closed 221 branches just in the last year, okay? That's saying a lot, because they could be moving on other bank branches as well. Some branches have reopened, sure, but with reduced hours or the services reduced. And Bank of America recently shut down a branch in Bisbane, just leaving them completely high and dry. And Chase has flicked on and off the lights in South San Francisco early in pandemic, and they flipped the switch back on with a completely different setup, okay? So it's not just these big banks. There's so many other banks that are following suit. It could be your bank in your local area that's closing next. That's all for today. I appreciate you tuning in for another one. Remember to become a subscriber or head on up to the description and just join my email list so you never miss my here today, gone tomorrow sort of stuff like grant updates or funding deadlines, right? There's always going to be something that might not be there tomorrow, okay? So check back with us daily or join the email list. Remember, you could always text coach to my number found in the description if you want to get hooked up with a free consultation. There's never any upfront charge, okay? We could talk about building business credit, scaling your current business, or if you're in a startup, or we could talk about real estate. I do have an awesome course found in the description. It is the gateway strategy into real estate. Check that out, all right? Guys, grab your free stocks before you go. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, so none of this was financial advice. And I'll catch you guys all on the next one. Bye for now.